माघ फागुनसम्म देखेको त्यहाँदेखि अलि धमिलो हुँदै गएको अहिले माघसम्म मैले सिउमा धागो हालेँ गर्छु नि अब के गर्नु मर्नु भएन त्यसै बस्नु भयो मर्नु दिनु भएन गर्छु नि धेरै नसकेर घाँस काटेर ल्याइदियो भने घाँस हालिदिन्छ घाँस बाँधिदिन्छ बाख्रालाई नुन पानी खुवाउँछु काम गर्नु सक्दैन यति हिँड्यो भने थर 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 मुटै काम छ
The only reason Volmaya Shrestha is still able to do anything is because for most of her 89 years of existence, she's lived in this house.
यताउति जे गरे पनि अन्दाजी आफ्नो यहाँबाट म यो बाटो हिँडे थिएँ यो काम मैले यसरी गरेको थिएँ भन्ने त्यो एउटा उस दिमागमा चाहिँ उ भएको हुनाले गर्दाखेरि मात्रै गएर यसो गरिसक्नु भएको छ भन्नु न टोइलेट सोइलेट जाँदा ओर्दा त्यो लट्ठीको सहाराले यसो
Her children didn't think she'd be able to see again. They live too far from any hospital. And even if they were anywhere near one, they couldn't afford the medical costs.
2-4 महिना अगाडि चाहिँ हल्का केही छाया जस्तो देख्ने मतलब अलि टाढाको दूरीबाट आउँदा ओर्दा नि हल्का केही देख्ने ओर्ने अनि मान्छे चिन्ने गर्थे अहिले आएर चाहिँ अलिक 2-3 महिना जति चाहिँ भयो अलिक मान्छे नजिकै आउँदाखेरि पनि त्यति प्राय नदेख्ने र नचिन्ने मतलब छायाले आफ्नो उसले अनि उलाई चाहिँ म यस्तो भनेर चाहिँ जब भनेपछि मात्रै उले चाहिँ अनि चिन्ने नभए चिन्थेन मान्छे
They had almost lost hope until a neighbor who had been suffering from near blindness came home with her eyesight restored.
मेरो जोडा साथीहरु हिजो बनाएर आछ अनि मलाई पनि जाऊ बनाएर आऊ भनेको हुनाले अस्ति गयो गएर अनि 16 गते आउनु अनि 18 गते 17 गते बस्नु 18 गते 19 गते घर फर्किनु भने अनि आएर
हाम्रो सबैले ध्यान दे घरमा कुरा बुझिस तिमीहरुलाई स्कुल जानलाई अब खर्च आउँछ
It was already dark when they reached Hetauda Community Eye Hospital. But at that moment, Volmaya's hope of being able to see again was brighter than ever.
अलिअलि हुन्छ अलिअलि गर्छु भन्ने मेरो याउ छ क्या जीवन यो आँखा राम्रो भयो भने अलिकति म याउ छ मेरो क्या
Hello and welcome to this edition of Assignment Asia. I'm Barnaby Lowe. It's been called a miracle worker, God sent, a healer, a national hero. Dr. Sanduk Ruit of Nepal. His contribution to curing avoidable blindness is legendary in his own country, but his work and reputation have gone beyond Nepal's borders.
Hi, Dr. Ruit. I'm Barnaby. Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. A cup of tea? Sure.
From the moment we met Dr. Sanduk Ruit, there was a certain light in his eyes.
I've seen come down 2 stories together.
A light that is shown on countless cataract patients.
He's really nice.
We met him halfway between the Nepalese capital of Kathmandu, where he's established a charitable eye hospital, and further south in Hetauda, where he's built a similarly charitable but smaller community hospital. There are competent doctors at Hetauda, but Dr. Ruit makes it a point to go there every now and then.
So you have doctors there,
Yes.
but you still feel the need to go there.
Yes.
Why is that?
Yeah, the reason I go there sometimes is whenever there's a need for a push, for such a big volume, and we have an international fellow who's being trained.
And how many of these small hospitals do you have here in Nepal?
We have now a full-fledged hospital. We have about 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, 3, but we have smaller units.
Yeah, but why is it important to build them in places like in locations like this where, it's not easily accessible, far from where your main institution is?
Yeah. The reason that we build it there is because it's accessible for people around that place. Those people will have difficulty in coming to our place.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for the surrounding. And the beauty of this is in 3 to 5 years of operation, it becomes self-sustainable. Yeah.
Do you feel more fulfillment going to these kinds of places, to remote areas?
I still feel like a little boy, and whenever I get an opportunity to travel and do this kind of work, I will straight away jump in and do. It's such a positive thing to do.
In Hetauda, more than 100 patients were getting prepped for surgery. Dr. Ruit is scheduled to operate on a number of them. Including Fulmaya and 13-year-old Roshan Singh. Roshan does not remember being able to see ever.
Do you remember seeing anything?
Roshan is also practically an orphan. His mother is gone, while his father has been away for most of his life. He was raised single-handedly by his grandmother, Maila Mayatama. And yet, there is no darkness around him. His energy and his zest for life were infectious.
He's speaking in English.
It's clear there is hope in his heart.
What did the doctors tell you? Do you know?
डक्टरले अनि के पनि भनेन आँखा मात्र हेर्यो अनि सरहरूले आँखा जचाउँछ रे अनि भोलि आँखा देख्छ रे.
That he was going to be able to see was all Russia needed to know.
How are you? Excited? Huh?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, alright. Wow.
As soon as he stepped into the surgical ward, however, I sensed some hesitance. It wasn't long before he was struggling and crying in pain. As if wanting to back out. What he didn't know, of course, was how quickly it would all be over. You see, over the years, Dr. Sanduk Ruit has made it his mission to cure avoidable blindness, cataract, erosion, and in most other cases, in the most practical and cost-efficient way.
I had an opportunity to go to attend as a medical officer, be part of the National Blindness Survey to find out the magnitude and the distribution of blindness. And I had an opportunity closely with an ophthalmologist to go to almost 60 different sites to do survey. I found tremendous magnitude of blindness was very, very, very bad, very high rate of blindness.
Almost common?
Common, very common. Almost 1% of the population, total population was blinded.
That's huge.
Yeah, and interesting was most of the patients who had surgery before, I would say 60% or more were carrying none of these thick glasses. So they were actually, 60% were functionally blind. Even after the surgery that was available then, whatever we were doing as a surgical procedure for the most common cause of blindness in this part of the world is not correct.
Not working.
Terribly incorrect.
And at that point, were you able to learn a different technique that you thought you could apply?
You know, at that time, these techniques of intraocular lens implantation were getting established in Europe and America and some of the industrial countries.
It was an expensive and complicated procedure, but Dr. Ruit believed in its efficacy, so he set out to modify it.
Can you, in the most non-technical terms, explain the kind of surgery that you do?
Probably the best example in Asia is soccer ball.
Okay.
Soccer ball has a bladder inside, and the bladder inside, let's imagine that's the cataract. Now, the way we are doing now is making a partial cut in the outside of the leather of the skin, partial cut, and then go through the leather and make an internal opening little different, little away from the external opening, you know, so you have a tunnel. And this will create a one-way valve. So when the wound closes, it just self-seals, okay? And through that wound, you take the bladder out, and then you take a new bladder in and put it inside. That's the intraocular lens, okay? And then the wound becomes self-sealing, and since it doesn't need stitches, the roundness of the ball remains as normal as the new soccer ball.
This technique, which eventually came to be known as small incision cataract surgery, was not developed overnight. It took about a decade. But Dr. Ruit has been able to harness it to a point where he can do it in less than 15 minutes. From one patient to another, I watched him remove cataracts and insert lenses with ease and precision.
Yeah, so Dr. Ruit just gave me this. He removed this from the eye of this woman over here. And I guess this is the cataract.
It wasn't high-tech, but it wasn't crude at all. It was just simple and effective. But it also needed to be economical. Donations were limited in the early days of Dr. Ruit's work, so there was only one solution: manufacture the intraocular lenses locally. His friend and mentor, distinguished Australian ophthalmologist Fred Hollows, raised the money. A New Zealander designed the facility, and the process was adopted from an American company. It took 4 years to set it up, but Dr. Ruit proved it was possible.
Once we started producing 50,000 lenses a year, we knew the cost of the lenses had gone down to less than $10.
From how much?
From $150.
That's right, yeah.
So then on the 5th year, when the production volume started to go to 300,000, the cost of the lenses came down to less than $3.
That was the key that opened several other doors for Dr. Ruit and his Kathmandu-based Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology. He had a flourishing medical career, but he now had a thriving social enterprise as well at his feet. It wasn't long before people, not only from within Nepal, but from all over the world, came over for treatment.
What we do, we have managed to formulate a thought of pricing tier where people who can afford to pay will pay. The funds that we get from the paying patients and the premium patients is able to, sort of subsidize the fee for the others and also operating cost. See, the interesting thing about this is, although we played a key role in this, but the impact was global. So those patients, millions of patients, now came within the target of treatment.
It's the only way patients from remote villages, like 89-year-old Ulmaya Shrestha, and the impoverished and undereducated, like 13-year-old Roshan Thing, can have the opportunity to see again. The success of Dr. Ruit not only meant access to free, quality surgery, but relative proximity as well. They didn't have to travel all the way to Kathmandu.
So how many did you operate on?
Maybe 29, 30, yes, about that. Yeah.
29, 30,
yeah.
and that's light.
That's like
You're not tired.
Yeah. I'm pretty good because the fact that most of the cases were very deserving, and I'm pretty sure in the bottom of my heart they're all going to turn out well.
All of them?
Yeah, that's very important.
100%?
I think most of them turn out very well.
That's a really good batting average.
Especially the young boy.
Roshan was in fact in high spirits after the surgery. He never expected to be in this hospital, which he said seemed like a hotel. He was never even aware of a cure for his blindness. But tonight, he will close his eyes, full of hope that when he opens them tomorrow, there will be color instead of a dark abyss.
Stories of hope, triumph, innovation, and change. We uncover the truth and go great lengths to tell a story. Get to know ordinary people with extraordinary stories and see Asia from an Asian perspective. This is Assignment Asia. Expect the unexpected.
Less than 24 hours after their surgery, these patients await their moment of truth. I'd witnessed Dr. Sanduk Ruit and his team of doctors treat them one after another. But the impact it would have, I never could have anticipated. Despite the widely publicized 98% success rate, we held our breaths collectively. After a fleeting moment of relief,
एउटा
Euphoria.
नराउने के हात छोड न हात छोड आमा यता हेर त यता
खुसी भएर हेर्नुपर्छ झन्
He's making eye contact. You see me? Yeah? He's making eye contact. Oh my god. You remember me? You know me? Yeah? Oh my god.
मेरो नाक समात त नाक
And seeing patients being able to see again.
Yeah. I mean, you followed.
Does that get old? I mean, you see
It doesn't get old. Now, full Maya, that patient that you brought from the middle of the forest, almost you will see that in a subsistence family, 3 or 4 persons from the family are involved after her. Mm-hmm. The whole family rhythm is disturbed. Now, she goes back in less than 24 hours, a different person.
Right.
She will break that rhythm into positivity. The whole family atmosphere will be different. She doesn't need anybody to be with her. She's going to eat her own food, and she's going to be financially independent, and she's going to shout at people because she's going to be more authoritative.
And if that's the case for 89-year-old Mumaya, imagine the possibilities for 13-year-old Roshan, who could now see.
यता काकीको छेउमा सरलाई अनि मिसलाई अनि यता सरहरूलाई अनि उताको सरलाई अनि तपाईलाई अनि उयो सरलाई देख्न सक्छ
It might have been overwhelming for Roshan to be surrounded by so many people during such a life-changing moment. But now he was home, and he simply soaked it all in. He ate. He played. He allowed himself to be curious. He even sat down with a social worker to try to read and write. Surely, he'll have a lot to catch up on.
What makes you feel most fulfilled? Because I've only been here for a couple of days.
Yes.
But this morning, the feeling was just so overwhelming.
For me, what really kicks me is when I come to centers like this, which became part of our dream, and then look at the team who's running it. Team who are, every time I come, they are passionate, and they want to do more, and they are, look, surgeons are working down, and everybody is busy, and they want to do how, go forward, and that really inspires me.
But the health problem is still there. The problem of blindness,
Definitely, yeah. There are almost 285 million people in the world who have vision impairment, and of that, I would say more, about 50% or more are with cataract. And these are people with visual impairment, But again, almost 20 million people are totally blind, like we saw in the morning today, So that's the really global impact. And we are probably, clearing not even 50% of the blindness. And 50% of the backlog is still there. But on top of that, as people are growing old, new cases are coming in. And this is non-ending.
Which is why, outside of exporting lenses, Dr. Ruit has also been exporting his philanthropic work. Literally, by taking his mission to other developing parts of the world. But more importantly, by giving non-Nepalese doctors the opportunity to train under him in his his team of doctors and healthcare professionals. Jen Besley, an ophthalmologist from Australia, was in her final days of training when we met her in Hitoda.
So Jenna, you've been here for 2 months, 2.5 months.
Yes.
How's it been so far?
It's been awesome. So the team here has been so welcoming. It's been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the ophthalmology fellows here. I'm working with the Fred Hollows Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Out here basically learning about international remote health,
Right.
As well as learning a new surgical technique.
And so this was a conscious decision to come
Yes.
here and train with Dr. Ruit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that was the hope. He's sort of one of the big names in ophthalmology and in remote and international health, and he's one of these people that seems to have maybe 20 ideas at once. So his brain doesn't stop thinking. So to be able to work alongside someone like that,
So you're thinking of applying what you learned here, not just in Australia.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'd be great in Australia, and remote Australia particularly. We've got really dense cataracts, which is this new technique would be fantastic for. The technique we use in Australia, if you use too much of that ultrasound energy, it can actually start to damage the inner layer of the eye. So useful for those cases in Australia.
Okay.
But something that I'm hoping to continue outside Australia as well.
Through protégés like Dr. Besley that have come and gone, Dr. Sanduk Ruit isn't only promoting a feasible, life-saving eye treatment. He's been cultivating a generation of doctors with both the skills and the heart to serve.
Dr. Sanduk Ruit may have restored the eyesight of hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. But until his cost-effective method reaches the far ends of the earth, he says his work isn't over. That's all the time we have for this week. I'm Barnaby Lowe. Thanks for watching. Join us again on Assignment Asia. Share your thoughts and contribute story ideas for our future shows by contacting us on social media.